edge tool review for you today. This is the Kershaw 2520 Zipit, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but first here we're going to do some cutting demos just to see how this little rescue cutter works. So let's just start off with a piece of computer paper. It seems this edge is relatively sharp. This is just the factory polished edge you see on there, but it also looks fairly easy to resharpen. So we'll just give it a test. Not doing amazing. Not sure. Not so good. That's not impressive. That edge is really failing. I think Kershaw may need to do some work on that. There we go, we finally got it to cut. I think you just have to feed the material into this cutter at just the right angle for it to really get going and for it to really fly through stuff. So that was kind of painful to watch. That's not very good. There you go, we got one cut there. I don't know. Let's see how it actually does on... Oh, there you go. Let's see how it actually does on some materials. So here we go. We got some 550 paracord. Let's see how well it gets through that. Just pulling here, just straight into the cutter. Not going. If I wiggle it a little, cuts right through. So I'm thinking that if you look at some of the other cutters like the Benchmades and the Gerbers, they actually have more of an arc of sharpened metal, so that really feeds the material down into the cutting surface. This is just a straight blade, and I'm not so sure the design is awesome, but it is getting through the stuff, and it's very cost effective, around 11 bucks, so still something to look into. We're going to cut through some seatbelt material now. If you're a rescue cutter, a first responder or something, you may have to cut somebody out of a car. And you know, the material is probably going to be wrapped around them or taut, so I'm going to have a friend just hold this seatbelt while I cut through it. So let's just see if it will get through and if it'll get the job done. Well, there you go. So let's do another one. Let's cut through that one more time to see how that turns out. Get on there. I am wiggling it back and forth just a little. Gets right through though, so it will get the job done if you need to. So looks like it can get through some seat belts if you want to, but not the most absolutely shaving sharp edge on there as you saw in the paper test. So now we'll just do another thing. We'll try to cut through this boot, see how well that turns out. As you've maybe seen in the Benchmade demos, they're cutting boots off of people and stuff. Now this is a fairly thick boot. This is an old hiking boot. So there's a lot of padding and stuff on there. I mean, it basically fill up the mouth of this thing pretty much. So I'm actually going to be surprised if it can really, really get through this all that well. But we'll give it a try and just see how it does. As I suspected, it's struggling a bit. Although it's getting there, it's just not super easy. I'm beginning to appreciate that rubber padding on there that you have for the finger. As you can tell, we cut down into there some, and that is a very padded, that's a lot of padding and fabric and stuff to cut through. It's getting down in there, but it's choking up right here at the seam, and it's just not getting through. Maybe give it a little more, but I don't know. There we go, we got through. Alright, once we got through that really padded part, it started cutting a lot better. So there we go. He did get the job done, cut that boot apart pretty well, and you know, it'll do it. It's just not going to be, you know, maybe quite as effective as some of the other ones. So, I don't know, we'll clean this stuff up and then I'll give you a few more words on the tool. Alright guys, so as you can tell in that cutting test, this little Kershaw Zipit did alright, not great, and I kind of have mixed feelings on the cutter. You know, on one side, it's a really affordable cutter, around 11 bucks, very affordable. There's not a lot else out there that's really gonna give you a nice little 2-ounce cutter like this for that price. And I really like that price point. You know, if you're just wanting to put something like this in a first aid kit, in an emergency kit, you know, something like that. Maybe if you're putting together several kits and you got to buy a couple of these, it's a lot better to buy an $11 cutter than, like, I don't know, a $30 Benchmade cutter. So I love the price, and it works to a degree. I mean, check out this boot. It ripped it open. It sliced right down that. It cut the seat belt with pretty, you know, with relative ease. Cut the paracord. Struggled with the paper a little, but it works. It's affordable. But overall, I am a little disappointed with it. Mostly because I know who it's from. It's from Kershaw. And Kershaw knows how to do stuff, you know, make stuff sharp if they want to. I mean, look at, you know, awesome blades like this Kershaw Leak. Kershaw Skyline. You know, these are just laser beam like cutters. These are just super, super scary sharp. They just fly through material. So, you know, I'm a little disappointed, honestly, with this. Being from Kershaw, I know they know how to make things sharp, but I don't know. And I think one of the big disadvantages of this cutter, at least in a rescue cutter type application, is that flat grind on there. That completely flat grind. If you compare it to something like this Benchmade cutter, this is the Houdini Pro, previously reviewed. Check it out. This is the same type of cutter that's like on the Benchmade Rescue 5, which is probably more comparable to this. But if you look at the type of blade on here, this one is more of a U-shape or a V-shape. This one is just that completely flat blade. And if we look at the cutting performance on these more U-shaped cutters, I mean, let's pull out a piece of paper that Kershaw was cutting. You see, it did cut it right here. It did get a clean cut, but it ripped it a bunch. Take this Benchmade one. If you give it the right angle, look at this thing. It flies through. So much easier. This Benchmade really handles stuff a lot easier than that Kershaw. Oh, it's getting hard to cut this piece of paper because it's so small, but you see, it really cuts stuff a lot better. Much easier than this Kershaw design. Mostly due, I think, to that blade design. So you do get what you pay for. You're also going to get a better steel on this cutter. This Kershaw is a 420 J2 stainless steel. Not the biggest fan of 420 J2 in my experience. It does not hold the edge all that well. It will get very sharp, but it just won't hold it. And you know, maybe as a gut hook, which is really what they sell this as, maybe as a gut hook that's a better choice because it's very corrosion resistant. It really does not rust. But I don't know. I just don't like that steel. It just does not hold the edge. Now, on the upside, it does look like it'd be relatively easy to sharpen with that flat blade, that flat cutting surface. And you know, ideally, if you're carrying it as a rescue cutter, you're probably, hopefully not using it an awful lot. It's probably one of those items, just like a tactical blade or a concealed carry weapon or whatever. Hopefully it's one of those things you carry in case you have to use it, but you hope you never do. So, I think it's an alright cutter, not great. I'd probably rate it like a 6 out of 10 type of thing. Now, another complaint I have with it is that it doesn't come with any form of carry sheath or pouch or even just a little plastic, safety guard that you could just slip this into. It just doesn't come with anything. When you get it out of the package, this is what you get. And so that creates kind of a dilemma for carrying this. You know, even if you just want to throw it in a first aid kit, an emergency kit, or especially if you want to carry it like on your belt or something, how do you do that? I don't know. One solution I have, if you're just trying to throw it in a first aid kit or something, and you just want to, you know, keep it cost effective, because this is a very cost effective option, cardboard and staples. I know it's you know, not all that cool, but it works. Slides right in there, keeps that blade from cutting anything else up, or from that blade being damaged by anything else and rendering it ineffective. So, you know, maybe that's the best solution. $11, you have a rescue cutter, throw it in your first aid kit, and it'll work pretty well if you have to use it. Just make sure that when you feed that material in, you really rock it back and forth, just so that you give that cutter a chance to really slice through that material, because it doesn't do a good job of feeding the material into the blade itself. You have to feed the material in for it. So I'm pretty happy with it. You know, I feel like if you're a first responder, a soldier, somebody there's a really high propensity that you're going to have to use your rescue cutter, I say shell out the extra few bucks, get into something like the Benchmade Rescue 5, Rescue 7, a Houdini Pro, something that's going to give you better cutting performance. If you just want something to throw in a kit, hopefully never use it, but you just want to have it in the kit, the Kershaw Zipit may be a decent option. So, thanks everyone for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments. I'd be really happy to help you guys out with anything. And please subscribe and rate if you feel like it. I really appreciate it. Everyone have a nice day. Thanks for watching.